Hello. Well, nice to meet you all again. David Ibbett, and this is my first time, apart from Matt Russo, who I've chatted with, my first time connecting with other sonification artists and scientists. So I'd love to know what you think of this project. We've been working on it with Multiverse Concert Series, this nonprofit that I direct in Boston. And it comes out of a long collaboration between us and the Boston Science Museum, because they have the Charles Hayden Planetarium there, and we've done sort of smaller planetarium shows. But this is a big one that's going to be about 40 minutes immersive experience. And we've got a team from the Harvard Smithsonian Center for Astrophysics providing the science. And then together we're working on various different sonifications that come up in the piece. One sort of overarching sonification of the complete electromagnetic spectrum that informs the harmonies of the piece. It's going to be premiered in Boston in June, and if anybody is nearby, let me know. Love to get you some tickets. But we're still very much working on it. Matt Russo has been he's playing guitar. He'll be there for the live shows, and the idea is it will be touring different planetariums in different ways. It's scored for a full symphony orchestra. We can't actually get a full symphony orchestra into the Boston Dome. So it's going to be kind of the leaders of each section with a recorded orchestra. And we're doing this Kickstarter at the moment, and we just hit our goal today to do our recording sessions. So thanks. And this will be a kind of Kickstarter backers will get the soundtrack, and it's not going to be commercially released. It's kind of an exclusive thing. And there's a video on there about various aspects of the project. But yeah, I can talk about various things. I was just saying it will be traveling. So some of you have already made planetarium shows, and I'd love to connect with you. This is the first time we've built one to really kind of travel outside of Boston. So sometimes it'll travel as just a kind of a canned movie. Others it'll be a live show with a narrator and musicians. And we hope one day there's a way to actually put up Symphony Hall. Once we have infinite money one day, we'll try to do. If anybody has seen a kind of rigged up planetarium dome in a concert hall, I'd be interested to hear. I have seen one in the world's only floating planetarium. Has anyone been on that? It's on the Queen Mary 2 cruise ship. It's just a tiny one that goes over the audience, but so I think it's possible. Anyway, what can I tell you about it? I have all these slides. We did this release sort of preview show back in November. These were our slides, but sort of cast as a symphony with 4 movements, kind of in the classical way. I'm kind of a retro futurist, something like that. There's a classical structure in there, but electronic music.
So, David, I'm going to ask you to go back to that last slide, and there was a lot of really good information on there. I think some of us missed.
So go. Yeah, about which one? The first one?
The one where you're talking about the structure, right there, the symphony structure.
Yes. Sorry, I'm just didn't want to take up too much of your meeting, but I can. I can go into any of these.
Another 5 or 10 minutes if you want, because we do go to 4:30, so we're going to be plenty of time today.
So yeah, we've been. It's a narrative piece. And the real goal is to take non-scientists and sort of as wide a community as possible on a journey where they really feel like they've experienced the distant reaches of the universe, which we know are out there. And, in our lifetime, these things are being revealed. So the visuals are a big part of that, but music can affect you in a way that gets through our filters and makes us feel like it's present and in the moment. So I have lots of sort of traditional musical tools, but sonification is a way to take the real shapes and the real occurrences that happen in these active galactic nuclei, and turn them into experiences. So there are 4 movements. The first one we premiered in this sort of preview show in November, the Science Museum in Boston. following the relativistic jets of plasma, and I have a sonification of gamma and radio emissions from relativistic jets that over a period of almost 2 years that forms this melody. Maybe I can show you. It's very simple, just taking intensity to pitch, and then the inner region. Maybe I'll talk more about that one. We have the complete electromagnetic emissions of the galactic nucleus, and the way that you can break it up and figure out which component of the black hole galaxy is emitting which band of emissions. And you can take the spectral lines. And I did a previous project called Octave of Light, where I was taking the transits of exoplanets and mapping the spectral lines to musical notes, shifting it down into audible range. That's something I've been interested in, making harmonies out of electromagnetic notes. And there's the way that is mapped is, very much an open question. And I've used a different method, well, an evolved method for this project versus the last one about exoplanets. And if anybody else has done kind of harmonic sonification of spectra, I'd be interested to chat with you, because it's, there's decisions to make. This one, I'll show you different thing. We spent, let's see, sorry. We have a big research note doc. This is the model that we started with. You can see. Just check you can see what I'm seeing. So there we go. We got this model from Mojgan Azadi at the Harvard Smithsonian, and this is a sort of a simulation of complete emissions from a galactic nucleus. So it's multiple sources kind of compiled together, and she's labeled the different parts of the spectrum with where they originate, and you've got radio on the left and X-ray and gamma on the right. And
so I'm going to interrupt here. So what he's viewing here is a graph. Can you describe this graph a bit? I'm going to flounder through that if you could. But remember that some of our people on this are not.
Absolutely. Yes, sorry. Thank you for prompting. So the axis we have the x-axis is the frequency of light for the complete electromagnetic spectrum, and the y is intensity. And there are multiple different colors of lines to show where particular frequencies originated. So some come from the accretion disk, which is wrapped around the black hole, super hot plasma, and that has interesting spectral lines that show you what's present, which elements are present, and you can get a lot of information about the geography. And then if you go to the extreme high or the extreme low, it's emissions from the jets that get blasted out of the black hole, and they are more flat, less interesting, fewer interesting features. And there is this ring called the dust torus that has some other interesting features. And I have to use a sort of a split method to sonify, because it's, I think as a musician, I think in octaves, as a one doubling of frequency. So sometimes sort of my revelation a few years back was that we can see 1 octave of light, but we can hear maybe 10 octaves, 1 doubling of light frequency versus almost 10 doublings of sound. So we're just looking as a way to represent harmonic data. The ear has got this wider range. So that means I can take sort of a wider range of light than we could see. So optical plus infrared, don't have to do anything except shift that down. But for complete electromagnetic, that's about 60 octaves. So you can't hear that. You can hear a slice of it. So we use we mess with the logarithmic scale to make that fit. But then there's there's a region within the disk where we use sort of a 1-to-1 mapping. So it's sort of 2 sonifications at once. Is it okay if I just play some of the piece, or is that?
That would be wonderful. We'll take a couple more minutes to do that. That'd be great. And just don't forget to share your sound when you share your screen.
All right. So this is my Ableton set from the preview show we did. So I had this harmonic sonification of the electromagnetic emissions, and just sort of builds up from the low radio to the high gamma. So there's low radio noise, which is extremely low. In fact, my laptop can't make that sound, but maybe you'll be hearing it. Oh no, we're just not sharing, are we? Should be. Okay, hold on. Oh no, I'm not sharing. That's why. Yeah, the sub frequencies don't come through on a laptop, but yeah, they should. What is going on here?
I'm not getting sound.
No, me neither. It's one of those days.
Okay.
Zoom, you are working, Zoom. Oh, okay. My outputs were disabled and it was set to 3 and 4 instead of 1 and 2. There we go. All right, let's try that again. Oh, there we go. Well, we've actually got a few. I'll build it up one more time. So we got sub noise from the relativistic jets with pulsing rhythm to represent infrasound that we couldn't hear. Low tone. Spectral lines of the galaxy. Lines of the dust torus. X-rays from the accretion disk. The iron line of the upper X-rays with its Doppler effect. And then finally high gamma. So yeah, it took us a summer to kind of crunch the numbers to get something that worked. And you know, there's rounding involved in places. There's a sort of double mapping in order to get it to fit audible range. But yeah, each component is, thank you very much, it's played by different instruments. You might have noticed the cor anglais and the French horns playing the torus, and the harmonics on the strings playing the iron emission line. So that's given me a lot of mileage as a composer, and I can use it to sort of underpin all these different moments in the narrative journey of the symphony. If I've got one more minute, or should I finish?
Oh, sorry. Why don't we just wrap it up here? And if we want to spend some more time with this, I think there's a lot of interesting things to be done here. So, but I want to.
Yeah. Well, thanks for. Would love to hear from you. You know, we're. If you want to contribute to the project, it's not too late. And we want to visit cities, and Multiverse is creating new projects all the time. We have one about a ballet about cells and sea urchins, and a concert about polymer science, neutrinos. We're trying to produce a lot of science and sonification programming. So if you want to be involved, love to hear from you.
Okay, that's excellent. Very excellent. And with that, we're going to wrap up with Chris, if you want to take a few minutes about your project with planetariums.
Yeah, thanks. It's me again. It wasn't supposed to be me twice. So James already briefly mentioned that last week we launched a new planetarium show. So there's a nice segue from what David was talking about. Called Audio Universe Tour of the Solar System. This show is supposed to be educational, and it's meant to be accessible for blind and vision impaired children. That's sort of the core. We're targeting it at upper elementary school, lower high school. It has curriculum content for those age groups. And the whole point of the show is it's sound-based. So everything about the solar system is communicated through narration and through sound, including some sonifications that were created with James's code Strauss. And we designed the soundtrack first for this reason. So this is sort of the opposite way you would normally create a sort of astronomy show. You'd normally make some cool visuals and then add some random sounds at the end. We flipped it on its head. We first designed the whole soundtrack, made sure everything was communicated effectively through sound. And then I passed it over to some planetarium producer who added some visuals to the soundtrack we'd made. It was designed in collaboration with qualified teachers of visually impaired children, some members of the blind and vision impaired community who were local to me, a very special blind school pupil in particular, who during the lockdown was on calls with me every week, giving feedback on what we produced and whether it was rubbish or not. He was quite honest, which was very helpful. And it was a really joyful journey bringing together all of these sort of perspectives. We also had a composer on board. David might be interested to know, because it became quickly apparent that for the purposes that we're doing, it needed to sound aesthetically pleasing. We couldn't just completely rely on direct sonifications. So, for example, in terms of representing the planets, we loosely represented the mass of the planet with the pitch, but ultimately we wanted all of the planets to sound aesthetically pleasing when played together. So we used a composer's sort of help there to build up this nice musical chord while still communicating the message. And actually that ended up being the basis of the soundtrack, the musical soundtrack for the whole show. So really bringing together all of these perspectives of the scientists, musicians, members of the BVI community, children, teachers. It was really rewarding, and everything, this sort of story is told on our website, audiouniverse.org. The show is released in planetarium format, currently in English, Italian, thanks to Anita, and Spanish. One of the key characters of the show, I should mention, is Nick Bonn in the English version, because he's a vision impaired astronomer. So he plays himself in the show to sort of be this inspirational role model for the young blind and vision impaired children. And in the Spanish version, Enrique Perez Montero plays, well, he doesn't play himself, he didn't want to play himself, but he's the character in the show to sort of inspire that community. The voice of the captain in the English version is the qualified teacher for the visually impaired children that I mainly work with, which was really nice, that as well as sort of being a consultant throughout the show, she also played the captain's voice because we go on this spaceship journey. Yeah, maybe I could share something from the show. I could see, let's see when all this sound sharing and screen sharing and things are right. Maybe I'll share the trailer. Oh yeah, so I didn't finish saying, it's released in planetarium format in those 3 languages. We've got more languages coming, but it's also produced in flat screen format. So you can go on YouTube and watch it and just listen to it. So you don't need the visuals to enjoy the show. You can just listen to the soundtrack. Let me try and play. Are you seeing this web browser with my website on, Kate? Is that what you can see?
Yeah, we can see the website.
Okay, so I'm going to try and play the trailer.
Welcome to the Audio Universe tour of the solar system. Join me, Captain Lambert, as we fly around the solar system and turn the light from the stars, planets and the moon into sound.
I'm Dr. Nick Bonn, your astronomer guide. Let's discover how we don't have to rely on sight to study space.
stop that there. Yeah, I'll just stop because I don't want to go on too long. But you can go on the website audiouniverse.org, learn the whole story behind it, the science behind it, so how we use James's code to create some of the sonifications, watch the show, download the show for Planetarians. It's all free. The only thing, going back to the evaluation thing, is that we ask people if they're going to download it for anything other than personal use. We're asking people to fill in a form just to record that they've used it, tell me what they plan to use it for, and then I'll be following up with asking them to complete evaluation forms. And we've already got 150 evaluation forms completed from the premieres, and really happy. The feedback's been very good. Last time I checked, about 75% said they now understand that astronomy is an accessible career for blind and vision impaired people, which is great. And so we're slowly collecting this evaluation data, and maybe we can talk about this in another Sonification World Chat, the kind of approaches we're trying to see if we can fix this issue of not having evaluation data for these projects.
That is excellent. I really enjoyed this World Chat and getting back together again. Does anyone have any questions for Chris or David? We've got a few more minutes and then we're going to wrap up and go. Some of us are going to go have breakfast and some of us are going to go have dinner.
Some of us are going to go to bed.
Yes.
I had a quick question. I was just wondering if either Chris or David or both of you, are you creating any educational curriculum materials that participants or audience members would be able to access that connect with both of your projects?
I can quickly jump in. So the show is designed with curriculum at its core. So we particularly looked at the UK and the Italian curriculum to check we're hitting curriculum points for upper elementary school and lower high school. So the show could already be used in the classroom for that. But I'm now, in the new year, I'm supposed to be creating lesson plans to combine tactile models with elements of the show in one sort of package that then can be delivered in schools or in other educational contexts.
Great.
It's something we're planning. We're looking for a partner to create lesson plans around the topics of the symphony. There's a project, I don't know if anyone's come across the New Bedford Symphony Orchestra, but they have a science and music education program, and a little bit of the symphony has joined that. But yeah, we're kind of more specialized in concerts, but education, I think there's a lot of expertise here. So I'd love to hear any ideas you have.
I think it's really great it's great in your educational materials to make sure you also have, interviews with your team, because these are truly interdisciplinary. And that also helps people understand that you can be interested in space, but not be a scientist, or you can be a musician, you can be a scientist and be involved in a music project. So that sort of cross collaboration, I think, is really important here. I'm in the US, and we talk a lot about 21st century skills, and creativity and collaboration and communication are some of those. And these projects are both really robust examples. So if that's something you can work into your materials, or, in addition to the trailer, I love the trailer that Chris had, or the excerpts that you played, David, to even include interviews with both of you and some of your other teammates. I think that's another great way to use these as educational tools, and just, entertainment really as well.
Yeah, on the website, you'll find a little making of documentary where we interviewed the composer and the scientists and Nick and the teacher. So I think that hits on what you're saying, to really show how it was a multidisciplinary thing.
Great, thanks.
I have a quick question for David. You mentioned octaves. Did you experiment with any other scales, like pentatonic scales or anything like that, when you were composing the piece?
Well, actually, an octave. I sort of mean an octave and everything in between.
Oh, the most generic sense of.
Yeah. So
okay.
I mean, I tend to use the equal temperament tuning for most things, but there's other projects where you can get into exact tunings and really there's so much room for kind of the discrete pitches. You know, we can hear these tiny little quarter tone, eighth of a tone, maybe even less. There's just lots of room to fit things in.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this is a super exciting area, and really glad to be here. I thank everyone for your patience and for coming back. And this recording will be up on the link that is now playing in your chat box. The chat box will also be available in the when the recording gets put up in that folder. And do share. And until we meet again, I think I'll get a meeting set up. Probably this seems to be the only general time zone. So whether it's a Tuesday or a Wednesday and a Thursday, that'll be one of those, and I'll go for late January. I will be at the American Astronomical Society meeting from the 8th until the 13th. If anyone else is going to be there, please put your name, just type AAS in the chat box, and I'm going to hunt you down when we're there so we can all go have a beverage. All right. So until later, I will signing off and appreciate everyone being here. Thanks.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Everyone.
Bye.